welcome to the Chit Chat Knits podcast. My name is Darcy, and this is a podcast that's mostly about knitting. We might find a few other things thrown in here and there, but I love to knit and I love to chat about knitting, so I'm so glad you've joined me here today. When we talk about doing a podcast, I've thought about this for a long time. And taking the step to actually do it has been the hard part. And everybody, I've watched podcasters say that this is their first podcast and they're so nervous. And guess what? They're right. It is very nerve-wracking to do the first podcast. So this might be a little awkward. Let's hope we can just do it. But I thought maybe it would be fun to tell you a little about me by going through 10 things I love. And then at the end, I'll show you where to get all my info, and I hope you all enjoy the podcast. So, number one, I love my husband and family, of course, and I especially love my two little grandchildren. Their ages 4 and 1, and they are so fun. Believe you me, they take a lot of energy, but they are fun little kids. Number 2, I love knitting and designing knitwear. I started coming up with knitwear designs, oh gosh, I should look up the date, maybe 4 years ago. And it was one of those things that I thought, I wonder if I could do that. I love knitting. I was knitting all kinds of things. And then one day I thought, I wonder if I could actually design something, because knitting from someone's pattern and then actually designing your own pattern are two way different things. Being able to read and do something is one thing, but then to say how to do it in step by step and making it very clear to the knitter is a whole different thing. But I really enjoyed doing it. I do sort of enjoy writing, so it was a good fit. So I want to start out with one of my designs. This is the Slip Crazy Cowl, and it's a bandana style, pretty low shaped cowl that starts, it just starts with an I-cord and then drops down in the front. But the special thing about this pattern and its sister pattern, which is the Slip Crazy Shawl, I'll show you here. This is the Slip Crazy Shawl. And I want to show you the fabric. Is that I was about a year ago, and I was supposed to be cleaning out my crafting room. So I had gone into the drawers and I started pulling out yarn, and then pretty soon I thought, and at the same time, I was really having fun with slip stitches. And so I thought, I wonder what would happen if I took two totally different yarns that you would never put together and do slip stitches and see what would happen. So this one actually is made up of these two yarns. Now, these aren't quite so crazy. They sort of match. But the fun part is to challenge yourself to go with two way different yarns. Oh, and then also you'll see some color breaks in this here. Here's a blue and a yellow. And I just used just mini skeins on those, just some solid color mini skeins. This one, I used just a regular, kind of a purpley burgundy. And then I also have this one cowl. And this one I used just a lavender yarn that I had. But the fun part of this pattern is in using yarns that you would never, ever think to put together. So I just grabbed some yarns out of my drawer today, and I wanted to show you a couple. Now, these are by Up North Yarn, and I will put a link to Up North Yarn because Monica does such a beautiful job. And let me tell you something about Monica's yarn. I order it, and within a week, 4 or 5 days, I get it. So she's very quick. This one is called Sea Glass, and I absolutely love this yarn. Anyway, these two are lovely together. Let me get them back here. Maybe you can see them. They're just beautiful. But you're not going to see a lot of color interest with these two. Pretty, but I wouldn't put these two together. Now, here's what I would put together. Okay, don't go crazy here. I would use this one, and I would put it with this one. This is a Zauber Ball, and this is actually Up North Yarns as well. I know, they're crazy, but this is where you get the interest. Oh, let me just give this. This colorway is called the Light Side of Neon, and that's Up North Yarn. And then this one is a Zauber Ball I just picked up somewhere along the way. The color is the 2429. I don't know. I know you think that looks nuts, right? But you put these two together, it's showing up pretty close. Let me get it here. And it would be incredible. If you want to see some fun ones, go to the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast. And she's also on Instagram as Ruth Loves to Knit. And right now she's doing 2 shawls. She's been making these shawls like crazy, but she's making 2 and they're just gorgeous. So check out Ruth Loves to Knit, and I'll try to add that little link in there. So anyway, this has been one of my favorite patterns. It's a fun way to play with color. So knitting, designing, fun stuff. Now, number 3, let's go on to number 3, things I love, and that is color. I love playing with color, especially yarn colors. And lately, I've been really into bright colors, but sometimes it's fun to just take a little break and do some soft colors as well. So let me show you another pattern that I released just in the last month or so that I think you'll really like. Now, I also want to say I am going to show my patterns, but this is not going to be all about my patterns, okay? So please don't think I'm just trying to promote my patterns, but I love them, and I hope you love them. And also, I do a lot of knitting with other designers' patterns too. So this podcast will be about a lot of things. But this one lately has been so much fun. This is called the Slipperoo Socks. And my motivation for this pattern was that I wanted some little lightweight socks to wear like in the evenings around the house. And so the first version I used West Yorkshire Spinners. I had this self-striping yarn from them. And then I just added the contrast heels and toe. And I made this in the pattern called the Super Shorty Socks, because you can see I just hardly put any kind of a leg on it. So they're super short. And they don't, in the evening, sometimes I needed my feet up. And so I wanted something that was loose around my ankles and just cozy and comfortable. So that was version 1 of the Super Shorty Socks. And then I thought, well, let's go with a little more leg. So I did the roll top, but then I also added some rib to make it just a little bit longer, because not everybody likes it super shorty. And then the other thing about this pattern that I really love, and I was wearing a pair last night, and I thought, why do I love these so much? They're DK weight. And sometimes DK weight can be a little bit sloppy on your feet. So in this one, I actually added some slip stitches here on the top of the foot. And that kind of helps to snug in things, and it keeps them from getting sloppy. So this was another West Yorkshire spinners, and you know, I have a lot of DK scraps, so I just grabbed a little to scrap up the heels and toes. And then I had bought some Sweet Georgia yarn, so I thought, let's do this. Isn't that pretty? So one color, and this one, instead of the rolled top, I did a rib top of 1x1 rib, and then went to 2x2 rib, and then still added the nice slip stitches that kind of snug things in on the foot and keep them from getting sloppy. And this was a DK weight, Sweet Georgia, and it also has some nylon in it. Then I kept going, and I thought, well, what about a little higher on the leg? So then I did this one, and this one I made with holding 2 fingering weight yarns together, because you know what, we get pretty close to a DK weight if we put 2 fingering weight yarns together. And so this one I did a 1x1, and then did a longer 2x2 rib here, and then into the foot. So in the pattern, I've written all these options for you. They're all laid out pretty clearly. And they're just a quick, easy to make little slipper sock. And let me tell you, I'm finding I'm wearing them all the time. So then I was at a little knitting retreat last weekend, and I thought, I just need to make another pair. I just love them. And again, they don't take a whole lot of yarn, so I had just some leftover yarn. I don't even know what it is. It was in my scrap bin of DK yarn. And so I just whipped up another pair, you know, scrap up the heel, scrap up the toe, use up just little bits of yarn. So slipperoo socks. All my patterns are on Ravelry. You can find it there. I'll try to do the links to help you out there. All right, so number 1 was my family, of course. Number 2, knitting and designing. Love it. Number 3 is color, yarn inspiration. Number 4, I want to tell you where I live. So I live in western Wisconsin with my husband. We live in the country. I love the country. We love living in the country. We do travel a lot. We're just outside of the Twin Cities. And so we have within an easy driving distance to, you know, everything we would need. But we live out on a nice piece of quiet property out in the country. And I also want to tell you that I am lucky enough to live 20 minutes, 25 minutes from Darn Knit Anyway. If you've ever heard of the yarn shop Darn Knit Anyway, and that's in Stillwater, Minnesota, because we're right on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. It's a fabulous yarn shop, fabulous. And they have great website where you can order yarn. And hopefully I'll be able to take some footage there and insert it as we go along, because they are wonderful. They have a maker's lounge where you can go and just knit anytime, and it's a beautiful space, and they have beautiful yarn. And the best thing about them is they have fabulous customer service. So I hope you'll check Darn Knit Anyway out, because they're great. All right, another thing I love, and my husband loves, is single track mountain biking. I know I'm a grandma, and I'm not the typical demographic of mountain biker, but we have a lot of fun traveling around the country and riding our bikes and just enjoying nature and trails. And a lot of times I find when I'm riding and I'm in riding the trails and just enjoying my time in the woods, that's when I have time to think, and ideas will come to me. And a lot of my pattern ideas come from spending time on the mountain bike trails. So It's one of those things. I started mountain biking about 5 years ago, I think. And I'm not great. I'll tell you that right now. I'm no speed racer or anything like that. But I find it very peaceful to be out in the woods on my bike and doing a little rocks, a little logs, and a little bit of challenge, but also just enjoying the peace of nature. So if I can manage it, I'll put a photo in here of me on my mountain bike. All right, that was number 5. Number 6 goes along with mountain bike, and that's flowers in nature. I love being outside, whether it's mountain biking or hiking or even running. I'm a terrible gardener, I'll just tell you that right now. But I do love flowers, and I have a new design that is just going into testing that I want to share with you. And this, I'll see if I can show you. This is called, there it is. This is called Carla's Garden Shawl. And the thing I love about this design are these beautiful flower stitches. You can see them right there? The green are all flower stitches. So this shawl is just going into testing, and I'm hoping to have it out by the end of May. And oh, let me tell you about this yarn. You can see how just drapey, it just feels so good. This is Up North Yarns, and the purple is, let me write it, let's see, it's called Love Purple. The beautiful, fun, let's get it just right, neon, let's see if we can get it right up there, is called Love from Peter Max. And then the flowers in this great green are just called Love Green. And Monica of Up North Yarns will be doing some kits of this. The kits will be available when the pattern's available. Again, her yarn feels so good. I just love it. It was so nice to knit with. And you know, these little daisy flower stitches might look a little overwhelming, but they really aren't. It's a 6-row repeat in the flower stitches, and there's only 3 rows that you have, 3 of the 6 that you have to really do anything that's fancy. And one of them is just wrapping the yarn around 3 times instead of 1 time. That's easy. One of them is just letting those wraps go, moving the yarn forward, moving it back, slipping the stitches back and forth as you move the yarn forward and back. And in the pattern, I have some pictured tutorials. So each step has a picture and a description, really easy. And then the 3rd row of the 3 that are, you have to do something special, are just purling. So that's, it's not that hard to just purl. So if you feel like that would be intimidated, don't be intimidated by it, because it's really easy. So coming soon in fantastic, bright colors. All right. And this pattern will be called Carla's Garden Shawl. And this pattern we designed for my friend Carla of the Carla Knits podcast. So I think this is, if she's watching this, might be the first time she's seen this. Hi, Carla. This is your shawl. Okay, it's a 3-skein shawl. It uses most of all of the 3 skeins. It's triangular shaped. It's very lightweight and drapey, but a good size. So it'll stay around your shoulders. You can still drape it around your neck, and it's lightweight and feels great. All right, So, number 1, husband. Number 2, knitting and designing. Number 3 is color. Number 4 is where we live. Number 5 is mountain biking, outdoor sports. Number 6, flowers and nature. And number 7 is music. And I especially love playing the ukulele. I know, it's crazy. I started playing ukulele. I've always done music. In fact, I have a music minor degree in music. I've played the piano since I was a young girl. I love music. I've been a singer for many years. But about last August, a neighbor down the road said, "You should come join our ukulele group." And I thought, yeah, whatever. And then that afternoon, I was sitting outside with my next door neighbor, and she said, "You should come join our ukulele group." And I thought, well, that's 2 people in one day. Okay, I guess I better join the ukulele group. So my neighbor loaned me a ukulele. I started practicing. I went to the practice and I'm totally hooked. And now I'm the owner of 3 ukuleles. And we have 70 members in our ukulele group. It just meets across the way from me at a church, so it's really easy. But we play gigs all over the local area. And this afternoon, we like to go to senior living centers and nursing homes. So this afternoon, we'll be playing at a senior living center, and it's just so much fun. So if I'd never played a stringed instrument. I guess my advice is never say never, because